100 yards, and I didn't know where I was going. I'm David Wright. This category is musicality. Musicality is an adjudication of your musical skills in making a song arrangement come to life. And so we are music people in a way, in that we're listening to where the song is going, whether it gets there, whether I'm feeling a natural progression, and of course in the process whether we've got good technical elements like good harmony, we now use the word harmonic integrity and execution. You're together, things are working like they're supposed to. So this course did a very good job. I think we have two good arrangements. We have Always and Blue Skies, and I think those are good choices for the chorus for the level where you are, because I'm hearing a unified sound. You guys have the basic block and tackle stuff. I'm not hearing voices hanging out all over the place. I'm not hearing out-of-tune chords. I'm not hearing phrases that aren't together. So you've got all of that down. Now, who's directing you today? That's you, and you were the director. I know we had a couple of substitutes, but you are the director, and you did a great job, Mike. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Tell me just a moment, we don't have a lot of time before he's here telling me I only have 5 more minutes, just about your journey. Like, how long have you been directing? Where are we? How did this contest come out vis-a-vis where you might have expected? Give me a quick rundown on that.
Well, we've done this set a few times now, probably maybe 3 or 4 contests. We've done these 2 songs. I've been director for the greater part of the time since about 2006,
okay,
and a couple of years hiatus in there, and then I was an assistant director for many years before that. This is very close to where we've scored of late.
Okay.
We've been really locked into that B range. I think last contest we had a couple more numbers in the 70s than today.
All right.
So we thought we nailed it. We thought maybe Blue Skies would have scored a tiny bit higher, but that's just our personal.
Yeah. Okay. I understand that, and I certainly understand going, thinking you did a little better, and then the scores don't reflect that. That's a common frustration in our system. It's just, I would write that off to the inaccuracy of the system to some extent, Different set of judges, different day, different performance venue, whatever. But I do think that the scores generally have us in the right place. So yeah, you're in that middle of the B, solidly B. And as I said, that means we're not hearing those things I mentioned a moment ago. What we now need to go for is a tighter definition of unity and more nuanced procedure through phrases. So, first of all, with Always, I don't know how you all felt about it on stage. It seemed like we didn't get a really good start. Dreams will all come true. Did anybody else sense that, or was I the only one in the house that thought that?
Be slightly tentative, perhaps?
Slightly tentative, and when you first started singing, I'd say, oh, here's another chorus going to be way down in the 60s, and then you immediately talk me out of that, But it'd be even better if we didn't, Everybody has that pitch ready, everybody's going, dreams will all come true. So I would suggest you practice that a bunch of times. Maybe you do, but for some reason that didn't get carried on stage as well as I know you can do it. So think about that. So it took me it took me a few seconds to realize what quality of ensemble I had in front of me. All right. I found good shaping, some dynamic changes that made sense, nice fidelity at times. How many leads did we have on stage? Have an idea?
Let's see, we had
4.
Four.
Yeah.
No, 5.
No,
5.
4 or 5.
Oh, Barry? 5.
Barry.
Well, we had 6 when
Very
Tom
good.
was.
5.
you.
Okay.
And
So 5 or 6.
6, yes.
Baritones?
3, I think.
well, Tom sang baritone on Always, and he sang
Okay.
lead on.
So that's interesting because in Always, I heard a chronic throughout the song baritone overbalancing. Maybe they were working too hard because they thought they were outnumbered or something. But the baritones, I was hearing baritone, almost like it was the melody. So be sensitive to that. Make sure the baritones are always, balanced properly. And of course, baritones, we have baritones in the room here?
Yes.
One.
So are you the section leader by any chance? No. Okay, so your job, and I'm sure you do this, the reason they're baritones is because of their high IQ, and the reason they need to know that.
Really?
That's true. That's true. High IQ, and what they need to know at all times is when they're above the melody and below. They need to know that at all times and balance accordingly. Yeah, the baritones are the intelligentsia of barbershop. Okay. Nice flow once we get into the chorus, good shape and contrast, but again, let's work unity a little better. Every now and then, and it's hard to avoid with an ensemble of this size, every now and then I'm hearing a voice hang out. And believe it or not, quite frequently it was a baritone voice. So make sure that we've got things tucked in. It wasn't always the baritone, I don't want to blame them, but not always good section unity all the way through. Okay. Now here's something that you can start thinking about more, not that you're not thinking about it. So you've got a good phrasing plan. Now let's work the nuance of the articulation. Dreams will all come true, all right? Dreams will all come true. There's, some members of the chorus are singing a mundane line that may have the dynamic shape that we're wanting, but not the sensitivity in the articulation of words that makes it come across to me as truly expressive. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that you're not singing expressively. I'm saying that that's probably a frontier where you can move forward.
Okay.
So I would work with nuanced treatment of lyrics, and especially on a song like Always, all right? But you hit a lot of things here. Tag, very nice tag. Lead, nice unity, and I've got command. Pitch, I think you guys are doing a pretty good job with the tonal center. There may be just a little bit of pitch loss that you're experiencing, but not much, I hear pitch loss a lot in barbershop choral music, and it's something that bothers me, but with this chorus, you hung in there pretty good with it. But again, I would invite you to really get on top of that pipe. So when you blow that pitch pipe at the end, you're right on top of it. And I think you've got the skills to do it, because what I'm not hearing is a bunch of heavy voices that are weighing you down, and at the same time creating unit sound problems, Okay, so you got a lot going for you here. So seize on the strengths. Thank God for the problems you don't have, because you really do have a good basic ensemble here, something to work with. Now get serious about the more nuanced and advanced ideas about lines, articulation, balance, tuning, all those things, section unity. Just tighten it up, all right? Raise the bar a little bit. I'm pretty good with understanding where choruses are, because I am in a chorus, now has 5 gold medals, but I started with them 40 years ago, a little over 40 years ago, and they were singing probably a 58 or something like that. So in 40 years we've gone up, so whenever I hear a chorus I say, oh, yeah, that was 1988, I know that. So, I understand all the problems there are to be conquered along the way, and that it's a slow process. You don't flip a switch and all these things get fixed. It's a matter of the ethic of the chorus rehearsal. It behooves the director to get you to learn these things, but also make the learning fun. Otherwise, people get discouraged and say, I don't want to put up with this. So you got a tall order, but you got a good group to work with. So I invite you to just hang in there and just realize that, okay, you really are, in your worst moments, you're a 68. In your best moments, you're a 73 or 4. And that means if we get more consistent with these things, we're a 76 and maybe pushing into the A range. It's just little things. I'm not going to come in here and say, oh, do this and that 72 becomes an 80. I can't do that. I'm too experienced to do that. I know that it's a slow process of becoming more consistent with a lot of things. Let's talk a little bit about Blue Skies. Great energy on this song. A lot of pop, a lot of excitement. Make sure, here's a tough one, where the melody gets passed around. Tenors had the melody, good job. Now this is something I talk, singing chorus has 5 gold medals, and still when the tenors have a melodic part, we go to them and say, it's accurate, it's good, it's good in a lot of ways, but it still sounds like barbershop tenor. You know, when the tenors take the melody, it needs to have that lead-like quality, even though it's kind of up in the falsetto range. So there needs to be a little bit of mix in there that make you sound like you're the counter tenors in you know, the King Singers or something, as opposed to being people pushing a male falsetto voice. All right. So think about that. You can probably improve the quality of those places where the melody gets moved around a little bit. Lead's great hanger on the end. I mean, I love that.
Oh,
And
yeah,
again,
wasn't it
I mean,
Wow.
they nailed that. Way to go.
Wow.
Yeah, there was. I love hearing a note where there's just like no doubt. It's like, all right, got it, man. And you got a good ovation for that too. You notice you got a really good ovation from the crowd on that. Okay, digging in a little bit on this song. Let's work in terms of rhythmic integrity and a little bit more accentuation in a very musical way. So blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies. A little bit of tugging on syllables, so I'm hearing that jive a little bit more. Now, you can carry that too far real easy so that it becomes choppy, all right? And usually when I say, so a lot of times when singing a song, first thing director wants you to do is smooth it out. That's right, because we've got to get the chords ring. So that's step one. Step two is now can we get a little bit more of that jive in there so that we actually feel the rollicking nature of this song a little bit in a little bit more detail. So work on that, but don't let it get punchy. Don't let it get choppy. The other thing is feeling the song on this fast backbeat. Da, ba, da, ba, da. So we're always on that, riding there, as opposed to ba, ba, da, which is going to make it sound heavy. And it's too downbeat. You know, sometimes call it white man's disease, where this is down rather than that clean backbeat, all right? All right, like a good jazzy piece would be. Barbershop uses a lot of jazzy techniques. It's just that when we're doing that, we have to keep the barbershop in it, which means the chords still have to ring. So we've got to have the legato connection with the jazz accentuation, which is not easy, but a song like this is where you've got to do that. The song, it's got nice sections, you know, it carries you around. It's a great arrangement. Make sure that as you get to the tag, it builds naturally. The one thing I would say about the final thing, which you hit really well, is it might have come on just a little suddenly. Just all of a sudden, pow, there we were with a great tag, a great lead hanger, ringing chord. But it's even more effective if I can feel this thing building, 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 and then there it is. So think about the overall shape of the music as you're heading to these climactic points. In general, always study shape. What's the music doing? Is it down here light? Is it getting more heavier so that you have a little harder accentuation? Is it soft? Is it loud? Are the lines having a little bit of, you know, variation, even though it might be overall soft? It doesn't just lay there like the state of Kansas. It's got a little bit of, you know, contour there. So study your music for things like that. It's things like that that are going to, one, where's my 5? I didn't
I
go
was trying
5.
to find you.
Oh, I couldn't find this room either.
Okay, so take 3. I'll come back later.
Okay, so just any questions, comments, or anything about what I've said? I realize we don't have the wherewithal to make this a great session with you standing on risers or something and perform for me, but any questions, comments?
What would you say is the, in your vast expertise, what is the single best thing we should work on at our next rehearsal?
Lyrical articulation and nuance. So it's not just together, there's a unity of the way you're accenting lines in very subtle ways and always, never any hard accent in that song, but just the way you caress certain syllables. If you listen to a really high-level barbershop chorus or quartet, you'll notice the absolutely convincing way that they deliver lines if they are in, say, ad lib, right? It's not just together, it's together and it's nuanced. So it's that level where we can start digging a little deeper. And that's really where it's at for you, I think. And the more you do that, the more you learn to do that together. I would say, good teaching barbershop technique not only fixes that problem, but when you get that, it's like dominoes. You fix a bunch of other things at once. So once you get everybody to understand sort of the accentuation within lines, lyrical caress if you're in your ballad, or that subtle rhythmic accentuation if you're in your uptune, then all of a sudden you've got unity that you said, oh, if I had gone directly for that problem, I probably wouldn't have fixed it. But when people are addressing lines in fine detail, then you start getting it. So you get, it's like killing two birds with one stone or something. So yeah, I would go in that direction. General artistry. You're the director, you got a good ear. So you're directing them, you're hearing a good sound. Now start thinking, is it an artistic sound? Or what can I do to make it sound more artistic?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
One other question, can I have my picture with you?
All right. Now, groovy.
I think I met you 100 years ago at Harvey College, probably.
Probably.
Started.
At least 100.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've been around a while.
Got it.
Thank you.
Got it back up.
Thank you for all your help. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Whether I can find the next room.
This is not an iPhone, is it?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll,
That's going viral,
Yeah, I'm gonna viral it myself.